All right, shalom, shalom. First things first, I'm going to give honor and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rachach say Barakati Howard, Barakati Yahushai,
Yo, you
Barakati
have to
Howard,
watch
Barakati
this.
Yahushai.
Purely a digital concentration camp. It's a slavery system.
When Catherine
And our elders, which apostle is a great millstone, Salakia, the video was on, and I'm going to make sure that all praise and honor given unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachach. And we give double honor to our apostles and our elders, which apostle elders a great millstone, which feed us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding through the spirit and power of Yahbashim Yahushai. Beautiful times just taking place. We are seeing prophecies take place left and right. You got all this turmoil that's going on. It's order, web, chaos. There's a agenda being pushed forth, and I seen this video. I seen a little bit ago, but I was watching Apostle go into this lady, and I've been watching her for a little bit. But she has a lot of inside knowledge, or just to give the knowledge plainly, because they're looking at it from this financial standpoint, the spiritual side, because Esau is known as what, a carnal man. All right, so these things are telling you that there's a system being built. This is the next industrial revolution. Okay, and it's every revolution has brought forth closer to more control, more. It's a large amount of money in the hands of small amounts of people. Okay, just like a parasite. If a parasite, it attaches to the host and it takes the nutrients from the host and feeds itself. All right, it feeds on that host. So what do you see taking place is likened unto that. That's why it says that the wicked rule in the world. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Okay, that means he covereth the faces. That means he's, what is a part of the faces to tell you? Archaeology, different plant paintings. Why do you think a lot of the higher ups, they collect art? They're into different digs. They're into different ancient ways, because that's them controlling that narrative when it comes to those art artifacts and different things like that. So let's play this video. This is fair use. This is for educational purposes only. This is going into the system and the digital ID, which is leading into our favorite subject. So all this stuff is leading into a grooming session, and I'm gonna bring that out too. Let's go here.
Purely a digital concentration camp. It's a slavery system.
When Catherine Austin Fitts talks, we should listen. She's a former high-level investment banker in New York and held senior office in the first Bush administration in Washington.
There may be 1,000 models of how it could work. But essentially, you will have, whether it's a banking account or a credit card, and it can be turned off and on. So my incentive system is not you go to work and work hard and you get money. My incentive.
That's why you see it says no man may buy or sell save he to have the mark. So they're going to be able to shut you out of the system and include you into the system. So John the Revelator was in a time where there was no IDs, there was no identification besides the house of your father. You could say who was your father in the area that you came from, but John was seeing something that wasn't enacted in his time. You had different brandings, you had different jewelries and different things that would identify you as belonging to somebody, but the main thing was you had the marks. That's why the mark is coming in the way that it's coming, because you're saying that you are you're a participant. You're bowing down willfully, bowing down by making that cutting in your flesh. That way you're belonging to the society. That's why it says those that take the mark and take the image of the beast bow down. So you have to, it's not just you just getting it and you live in the world. No, you have to make intercession for it. That's why you see the push to a system that has your mind geared towards what the government, and the apostle brought that out, which means mind control. So all these things are leading to that goal and to that total control, because you're being what? You're being marked and imprinted with a system that links you to it. Okay?
CBDCs, as the name suggests, would be issued by central banks like the Federal Reserve in America and the Bank of England, not by high street banks. They would signal the end of cash and every transaction you make would be transparent and held on a permanent database. Crucially, under a net zero regime, your carbon footprint could be at the heart of the system.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean?
It's fair use, fair use.
What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker.
This can be the infrastructure for a carbon credit system. It's totalitarian control, and if people don't become aware of it now, it's going to be...
And that's the main thing. But I wanted to get this. The word there is grooming, okay? And it says the phrase, no man may buy or sell, or something. We'll pull this. It says Revelations 13 and 17 in the King James Version. The Bible is described as a future scenario where an economic system. Damn, I didn't know it was gonna pull that out. So they're showing you it's an economic system. What's the main system now? That's this. Whatever system's coming would have to overdo and overshadow the dollar, or be in hand with it, because that's the economic superpower ruling in the times that we're living in, where prophecy is being fulfilled. So this system, this economic system, would have to over trump the dollar that is in place now as the world reserve currency, because that's what payments, especially when you deal with oil, gas, natural gas, these things are traded and used and converted into dollars. So that system would have to be able to be over this current system that you see happening today, or a part of it. It says that it describes a future scenario where an economic system will be controlled by a tyrannical authority in the beast, which we know is NATO, the EU, okay, where you have the Treaty of Rome that enacted that, and then you see the evolution of it today, okay, which requires a specific mark. It says of the name or number of the beast, but anyone who to be able to participate in commerce is system. That's why it's the economic system. All right. So you're seeing the grooming process that is taken to move everybody towards this goal. It says grooming definition. Grooming, personal care. That's your care. But grooming, manipulation, and abuse. In legal and safeguarding context, grooming is a manipulative and systematic process where an individual builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a vulnerable person, typically a child at risk or adult, manipulates, exploits, and abuses them most often. So you're seeing a grooming process when it comes to this system. They're not just throwing up on you at one time. And grooming goes through different stages. It says build the trust. It says the abuser establishes a friendship or mentorship role, often giving gifts, attention, or for favors to make the victim feel special and develop a false sense of security. So you're seeing what's happening now. These goodies, like I said in the video, they're traps. They've been set as traps a long time ago. So now people are falling into the traps and don't realize that it is a trap. Okay. It says isolation. The partner. It says the participator works to separate the victim from the family and friends, making the victim depending on the abuser. What you see, that time of that, you know what, okay? You had a lot of people being traumatized by the situation when everybody was locked in their homes, isolated. A lot of disinformation was being used. AI was probably being used heavy. Okay, it's a psyop. That's what we say, because it have in certain, and it's not us just saying it. Certain people that are professionals in that field, they saying that what's going on has to be a psyop. It has to be related to something on that and on those lines, man. Okay, so what you see taking place is a grooming process. Because even this situation here, where you see the tariff checks, okay, and this would have to be the money that is taxation, because tariffs is a tax, but these nations aren't eating it. They're just footing it towards the customer, and then they're collecting it, but they're collecting the money from the same people they're getting ready to give it to. All right, so you see all these that taking place, and then what it's going to do, it is going to devaluate the dollar, because that is the main point, to go towards the digital currency, go towards the new economic system, as we just read in Revelations 13, that economic system has to be economic, one that is established, that rules overall for everybody to be using that system. Okay, and the beast would have to be at the helm of that, man. All right, so you're seeing these things take place because there's a war on the dollar. They're killing it. It says Treasury Secretary Scott Basement hints to an economic limit on Trump's 2000 tariff checks. When the 2000 tariff divided checks come in later on proposal, and they don't know how it's going to come, because it can come in different tax cuts, or it can come in different ways. So we don't know how it's gonna take place, because people think they're gonna get a flat check. This is also a version of a psyop. So they're gonna push this because there's certain things going on that they want distractions that are happening. So however they come, but that's the main thing. But then I found something interesting, is that I said Nero was the first to deface the money. While Nero was not the first to deface money through debasement, lowering its metal content, and that's what you see, the working of money. Why is gold $4,000 an ounce? Because the gold hasn't went up. The money that it takes to buy that oil has went up. So that's what you call inflation. That's where you're going to get hyperinflation in the time to come, just like going back to Germany, where the Weimar Republic, once that money fell to the low, it took a large amount of money to be able to buy certain goods and certain things. The goods stayed the same, but the money was lower in defacement. There was less value. Just like if you go to certain African countries, you need like $1 million. Sierra Leone, as an example, I think about $5,000 or $50 in American money is equal to almost 1 million in the Sierra Leonean money. Okay, in the African country money. So that's showing you that it takes $1 million in their money to get $50 in the U.S. currency. So check that out. Okay, so things even themselves out with the cost of things, but that's how to show you the defacing of the money, where it takes that max amount just to be able to get to a certain amount of monies in dollars. Okay, but it says he was the first to officially do so on a large scale to fund his extravagant spending, according to the vaulted in Wikipedia. However, people may also have physically defaced coins as a form of protest against the unpopular emperor like Nero. And it says, starting AD 64, Emperor Nero reduced the silver content in the denarius to cover his cost, a practice that continued throughout the Roman Empire. So it's happening again. All right, you see the defacing of the dollar, and what's because how did they do it back then? They took the purity of the silver and they debased it, Slakia. So what's happening now? The purity of the dollar, because at one time it used to be a gold-backed tender. You can actually go in and trade that money for gold backing. Now it's not gold backing, so it's turned into fiat. And that fiat just pretty much breaks down to believe that it is. It is that it is. So it's the belief in the money. I'm just paraphrasing that on the fiat. That might be another lesson. But it says, for example, the silver content coins minted in Alexandria fell from about 23% to 15% in 6560, says NGC. Practicing the reduction in Terence value while maintaining face value became a recurring issue and contributed to the later economic problems of Rome. Note, so economics, going back to the Revelations, the 13th chapter, that is the economic system that's coming into place. Okay, so all these things you see happening, and it says what? You have these bunkers and different things are also happening too. They got this, that might be another lesson. We'll jump into that on another lesson. But let's push this here. This is the digital ID update. Let's see. Let's go. Okay, and it says Apple introduces digital ID, a new way to create the present an ID in Apple wallets. So digital ID is coming towards it's a grooming process, just like I read earlier. They're not going to throw it up on you all at one time. It's going to be a slow burn process until you're used to it. It says this is 4 hours ago. Growing adoption of Belgium's MyGov digital app. Okay, let's see what that says. It says there's growing adoption of Belgium's MyGov digital app, which was launched in May last year in an alternative ID authentication platform to streamline access to digital government services by citizens. The mobile application unveiled by the government to complete the exiting items digital ID app and also strengthening the government's control and digital sovereignty according to the Brussels Times. So it's heavy. So these apps and different things are going to start up, and then you're going to be directed to get yourself put into the system. So it's leading towards that, like we just read, that economic system. All right. Let's see here. Mobile ID, that's April 29th, 2025. It says digital driver's license to debut in New Jersey under new law. It says Philip Murphy signed legislation Wednesday requiring the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission to create digital driver's license, giving residents the option to present a mobile ID or verify their identity. Rollout, however, remains more than 3 years away. So they're moving the goalposts. Because 3 years, it could be happening in less than that. They're just giving you that it's in the books. And the time window they have is 1 to 3 years. Okay, or 3 years, if that's what they're talking about. It says officials say the new law will help people who forget their license or ID and also allow them to update their documents electronically. Digital driver's license will make life easier for the driver across New Jersey. Murphy, so it's a grooming process. Oh, it's easy on this and easy on that. But it's going towards the main goal, okay? It's going towards that main goal. Let's see if there's any. Let me get these precepts. This is the book because through the defacing of that money, that's how we know a lot of the prophecies are pointing towards America. It has to be Babylon the Great. Okay, this is the book of Habakkuk 2 and verse 6. It says, will not all of them taunt him with ridicule and scorn him? Woe to him who piles up stolen goods. And what you see, what's the situation in Venezuela? Okay, they even try to say themselves that they're making the economic scream or the people scream. Okay, revolts when the economics gets so hard that they pretty much kick the leader out and put somebody in there that's going to play that ball. It says, woe to him whose piles of stolen goods and make himself wealthy by extortion. How long must this go on? So the prophecies clearly speak. And then, let me see here, because the King James, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth him, which that is not his, and how long into him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Now, if you don't have the understanding of the Hebrew, and Apostle Elder brought this information out, that this way, and this shows you the importance of learning Hebrew. That's why you see the brothers that have grown in Hebrew, some have excelled, but that base knowledge of Hebrew is important for you to be able to understand and to describe and to break down the scriptures correctly. Because the word clay goes back to the Hebrew word abatyat, okay, which means debt. So it's saying thick debt. Thick debt is on what the place would we call Babylon in the time of the end. Okay, so increase of that which is not his, and that's where you see the bases all across the U.S., all across the known world. All these places are another jumping points and leap paths, if you want to say that. Okay, so understanding it, thick clay is thick debt. All right, and you have the highest debt because of going back to the dollar, going back to that world reserve currency status. So you're seeing this thing move, man. Prophecies are real. All right, prophecies are real. In the second Ezra 16 and 68, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. Because there's going to be a lot of shakeup when it comes down to the MOTB. All right, and that's the apostles' elders been bringing it out, been praying for it, been putting it up and say, Lord, when we be preserved. But those that have talked against it, they're gonna have to witness it, and they're gonna have to go through it, man. All right. So I just want to bring that information out, sew everything together, to put these precepts. Lord willing, is edifying a lesson in the time we're living in. Faith is a must. All right. Even though what we're going through is it's tough sometimes, Jake. But all the thing is keeping faith, making sure that we hold on to it. All right, we almost there with that. It's a call, Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Echad Kadash. Until next time, I say Shalom. Next time, keep faith. Shalom.